Well, hey everyone, good morning. Happy Monday morning to you. This is our regular 9-minute Monday. And always talking about just some of those practical leadership things that can help you make this a great week. So today specifically, I want to talk about a word that is not often so popular in our leadership conversations. I want to talk about the word accountability. A few weeks back on 9-Minute Monday, we talked about the importance of management and how sometimes I think we've diminished the role of management in leadership and have gotten kind of enamored with vision and strategy and all things that are really important. But yet, accountability is such a key factor in helping us reach the outcomes we hope for. You guys know, oftentimes I say, I am wired to put feet to vision. I am a get it done girl. And I think that's what we all long for, but sometimes it requires things like accountability. So today, I want to give you 4 principles for creating a culture of accountability. And I think one of the most important things we learn as leaders, and this has been true for my leadership journey, and I'm sure for yours as well, is that there are often parts of our journey where we realize we have to think differently. We have to have a perspective shift of sorts to help us understand the things that are going to help us succeed in this season or this era of leadership. And I think this concept, this principle of accountability is really important because as leaders, we have to realize our responsibility for creating a culture of accountability. So let me give you a little bit more to chew on with this one. See, dreams are just dreams without action. And you all know this because you have had these circumstances, I'm sure, for yourself as part of your teams where you have big ideas, you have grand ideas, and then you're not quite able to get them done. Anybody relate to that? That it's like you have this big idea, this huge thing you want to accomplish, and the worst feeling in the world is when you chase after that dream and you're not able to actually accomplish it. And oftentimes it is things like accountability get lost in the pursuit of the dream. And as a result, we don't actually see the outcome we hope for. We don't actually realize that dream because we didn't take the steps to put action to them. One of the leadership books I've read, there's a great quote that I think helps us kind of understand our responsibility to create this culture of accountability. It says, more than anyone, leaders should welcome being held accountable. Ouch, right? Nothing builds confidence in a leader more than a willingness to take responsibility for what happens during his or her watch. One might add that nothing builds a stronger case for holding employees to a high standard than a boss who holds himself or herself to an even higher one. And so leaders, this is one of those things that I think is so critical. You hear me say all the time, lead yourself well to lead others better. So we have to hold ourselves to a level of accountability. And as a result, that starts to earn the respect, it earns the trust that allows us to hold others accountable. See, this management kind of dimension of leadership involves leaning into others to get their best work. You know this. Respect and kindness shouldn't be absent from this. And I think this is sometimes where we will avoid accountability because we think it's not nice or we think it's not respectful or it's not kind. So those things shouldn't be absent. But management should be practiced with authority and reasonable expectations, that there are some expectations we should hold other people to. And one of the greatest privileges of leadership is that we're able to help others accomplish feats that they didn't think they had in them. But oftentimes that means we have to push them. We have to challenge them a bit. We have to hold them accountable. And by holding people responsible for predetermined and agreed upon outcomes, we help them achieve greater things than they might have accomplished on their own. So this is the goal, right? This is what we hope for. We want to realize the outcome of our organization, this vision, this goal, this plan that we have. But we also help the people that we're leading, the people that we're holding accountable, we're actually helping nudge them along in their growth and development as well. So it's another byproduct of this. So let me give you these 4 principles that I want you to be watching for this week. The first one is, are you clarifying expectations for your team? See, this is big because oftentimes we think we've clarified, but actually, if we get really honest about it, we haven't been as clear as we think. Accountability begins with clarity. So are you giving clarity to your team of what's expected? As a leader, you bear the responsibility of leading others to set goals that will help them fulfill their responsibilities. So how are you helping your team? By clarifying the expectations. If they have unclear expectations, they have an unclear target, and then ultimately they're not going to accomplish the goal that we want them to accomplish. The second thing is follow-up. Now, this is the one that gets us in trouble, because we might even set the goal, clarify the expectations for that goal, but then we will slip on holding people accountable with follow-up. Because once you've defined the expectations, you have to create pathways for follow-up. And this is what gets us in trouble, because we get moving on to the next thing, the next big thing that we've got to get accomplished, and we forget to follow up with people and keep holding them accountable to progress. Now, this doesn't mean micromanagement, but it means checking in. And again, I think this is where it's kind of feast or famine, right? We're afraid of micromanaging, so we don't follow up at all. And somewhere in the in-between is the healthy balance that creates accountability. Repetition is essential. That old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, that survived because there's some truth to it. So you as the leader or as the manager sometimes need to be the squeaky wheel. We must be the loudest and most consistent voice when it comes to our organization's priorities and helping people remember what are the most important things we're doing and keeping them focused on working towards that goal. So clarify expectations, follow up. The third one is measure results. Focus on results more than process. Now, this one can get me in trouble. We've talked about before how as leaders, we need to define the what, but we need to release the how. And this is where this comes in, and this is what keeps you from micromanaging, because you set the expectation, you clarify the expectation, you follow up, but then you measure results, but you don't measure results on how they accomplished it. You measure results on are they getting done, are they accomplishing the big goal? And so don't micromanage how, clarify the expectations, follow up regularly to kind of make sure you're guiding and creating alignment and consistency towards that goal, but focus on the results rather than the process. Are they accomplishing the result? And measure that, not just how they accomplish it. And then the fourth thing that I would say is evaluate ROI, evaluate the return on investment. So the time that you're putting into this, and I know for those of you in the corporate world, this makes perfect sense. You get it because it's very dollars and cents. For some of you in nonprofit or ministry work, this is a little more challenging. So you have to think about how can I measure the return on my investment? If we're going to spend time and intention here on this goal, how do I measure that? And so that's probably a longer conversation for another day. But this week, I want you to think about what are you creating as far as a culture of accountability? And you might pick one project or one person that you're working with and say, you know what? I'm going to intentionally clarify expectations. I'm going to figure out what my method of follow-up looks like so I can regularly follow up. I'm going to measure results, and I'm going to measure the return on investment and see if that creates a greater culture of accountability and allows you and your team to accomplish those goals that you have in mind. So I want to hear, how does that work? Give me some feedback. Let me know what was good, what was helpful, and I hope you guys have an amazing week, and we'll talk next Monday. Thanks.